Yesterday, the Supreme Court heard arguments in the case of South Carolina's radical racial gerrymander. This is the gerrymander that created the seat that Nancy Mace is currently occupying. That district went from being, basically a swing district that went back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. They went in and they took out basically most of the black people, or many of the black people, and moved them into other districts. It's called cracking and packing. And the result is that Nancy Mace won the last election by 14 points. It's now a solidly red district. This is the same thing with Jim Jordan's district in Ohio. If you've ever looked at a map, his district, it just wanders all over the place because they're just sucking up every little Republican vote they can find. So a federal court and a federal appeals court both found that this was a racial gerrymander. But the Republicans in South Carolina, sued at the Supreme Court and said, no, it's not racial. We weren't looking at black people. We were looking at registered Democrats, and we were trying to get Democrats out. Now, it just happens that those Democrats were all black people. But the Supreme Court, this is this grand exception that in the Shelby County case back in 2014, if my memory serves me correctly, John Roberts said, the fact that we've got a black president means that there's no longer racial discrimination in the United States, and therefore we're no longer going to, really enforce these kind of, racially based laws. And, to kind of dance around, but you've got laws in place, like, the Voting Rights Act and whatnot, that explicitly forbid you to use race as your principal tool when gerrymandering and when, anything else, trying to prevent people from voting, basically. So what the Republicans are doing now is they're saying, was that a black community? We didn't notice that. We just saw that it was 80% Democratic. We didn't realize it was black people. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And Sam Alito was so gung-ho for keeping in place these racial gerrymanders that had been struck down by a federal district court and by a three-judge panel in the federal appeals court. He was so gung-ho to keep this map in place that he kept interrupting people yesterday during the hearings, and John Roberts, by the way, was going along with him. So it looks like, in all probability, this racial gerrymander in South Carolina is going to stand. We won't know for a few months, when the final decision comes out, but you can generally tell where the justices stand based on how they ask questions and what they're trying to get on the record to justify the decision that they've got that's coming down the road.